Are you ready for me to bring up our next two? Oh, yes. You know what? That man knows what's going on. Can we bring to the stage Mr. Kit Harington and Miss Emilia Clarke? They were ready. I didn't even get to put, they pumped me up.
Yo.
So I get you up here for a little bit because I know you have so many things to sign and so many pictures to take.
Yes, we do.
How are you both doing? Like you're meeting all of the fans.
It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Everyone is so lovely and so nice. It's wonderful. Like, how could it not be anything other than brilliant?
Yeah, it's been awesome. You guys are awesome.
Aww. All right, so we got to start off with the low-hanging fruit. Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen. You know, your characters have become memes, catchphrases. They have been written into other comedies, TV shows, movies. Like literally someone just, in a movie I watched the other day, no, you can call me Queen, Mother of Dragons. And I was like, wow, they are truly a phenomenon that has made this lasting imprint on pop culture. What has life been like this phase after Game of Thrones? And, you know, for you, what's the most exciting part of this phase? Because neither one of you have stopped working.
We've been very lucky. It's been... So when you're in it, you don't know what it is. You can't even begin to quantify what it is or what it means, partly because we were tiny babies who were just really pleased to be employed and just trying to have a good time and not mess it up. And then after the fact, the more time that goes on, older you get, you start to appreciate it with distance. So for me, I can see what it was and the impact and feel nothing but wow, that was brilliant. But I personally always have a big separation between me and Khaleesi, and between me and the show, because I never felt I always feel like I was a small cog in a huge, amazing, beautiful wheel that existed before the TV show. We didn't write it. You know, I didn't create the Mother of Dragons. I just had the privilege of being able to play her. So as I get older and I see it lasting still, it just sort of blows my mind. But not in a way that's like it was before, where I couldn't see it.
It's right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, both of you are consistently still being cosplay. Like I've seen many great Jon Snows. And you know, for you now, both of you, and Kit, you can start now. You're both in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like that. Talk about a big, wide, huge universe of characters and actors. Yeah. You know, what's it been like joining this family?
I think just on follow up from the last question, we were in a show that was in a really specific moment in TV, I think. And since it's finished, that's become more apparent that it existed at a moment where TV was at its height and it seemed to take up a large portion of the attention. And now there's so much more on that I feel we were very in a moment in time with that show, which was quite a blessed moment in time for us. And at the same time, you had this other Goliath, which was on the big screen, which in some ways was running in tandem with our TV show, which was Marvel, which was doing the same thing. It was huge. It was in many ways, keeping the cinema afloat, and was just. And so I think I don't know how you feel, but in an interesting way, it felt like graduating to something else.
Yes.
You know? And,
yeah,
um,
that's so accurate.
yeah, and it's an amazing thing to be part of, to go from that one special event into a different special event that you'd been watching from the sidelines.
I love that.
The way that I always describe, someone asked me this the other day. They were like, what's the difference and all the Marvel don't need me. Like, do you know what I mean? They're like, they're good. I get to join the party when it is like hot.
The table is set.
The table is set.
The bar is like an hour in.
There are kings and queens that exist forever in that. And I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit like, hey guys, what's up? This is fun. What's happening? Like, it's kind of
over there.
It feels relaxed in a way that Game of Thrones felt like survival. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Literally. Thank
Literally.
you very much. Yeah.
So, Emilia, I gotta ask, you've had this incredible range of characters, romantic comedies, fantasies, space westerns, time paradoxes. You know, for you in your role, you're now, you know, as much as you think they're kings and queens set up at the table, you have walked into, you're in the middle of the release of
Yes.
your piece of the party.
Yes.
You're only 3 series in, and people are gonna want me to ask this, so I have to ask this, but I don't know if you're gonna answer anything.
Okay.
What, if anything, can you tell us about your role and your character and her role in the series? I'm sorry, guys. She may not answer anything, but
Well, I can do a little bit from what's out already, but so I have the privilege of being Talos's daughter. The remarkable Ben Mendelsohn is my dad, and just aside from this person sitting right here, one of the favorite actors I've ever worked with. He's amazing, and she's kind of punky. She's kind of rebellious.
I kind of love her. She's kind of amazing.
She's got like an edge to her that I'm really, really enjoying playing in a way that she has what I would like to think most of my characters I get to play have, which is a huge amount of empathy for people, but it's not her immediate go-to. It's kind of been like beaten out of her because she's been raised by a military man. She's been raised in a military family. She has military training. It's very everything. There's no soft edges with her.
I think a lot of people forget that her dad was a general.
A general, exactly. So she was raised in the environment of like an army brat. Like she knows how to take care of herself. Let's put it that way.
Let us hope after seeing this last episode. Anyway, so on the other end of the Marvel Universe, before I give any spoilers away on this stage, there's Dane Whitman.
Spin off.
I definitely, like most folks, it was a huge bomb in these post-credit scenes that we usually get, but this one was pretty unique because you're Black Knight. Well, are you Black Knight? I don't know. I don't know. No, that was not a confirmation. Are you? Are you not? Maybe?
The honest answer is, I think that's the intention with the character. I think there was some misunderstanding about whether he was going to be in the Blade movie. He was never meant to be in the Blade movie and isn't. But at this stage, I don't know. At this stage, I hope he gets used. I think there's some really fascinating parts of that character which would be beneficial to delve into and interesting, which is the aspects around his kind of mental health things and specifically about addiction with that character, which I think is really interesting. So I hope they use him. I hope that the Black Knight comes along. I hope that Dane Whitman is that character. At this stage, I can't tell you anything. But I think the intention is to develop him at some point. Yeah,
and I love that because that's something we were able to explore a little bit in the Moon Knight series from Marvel, and I think it's something that I'd love to explore a little more. 2 more questions for y'all, and then we're going to get to fan questions because y'all asked a lot of questions. Um, you mentioned that you've played a lot of roles. You have been in a large amount of legacy franchises, right? Terminator, Star Wars. I hear there's a spot in Futurama.
I did that ages ago. Someone said that to me as well in the list of stuff. They were like, Futurama. I was like, does that count? Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it
cool,
does.
yeah.
No, for those of us who own
I mean, I love
every
me some
series
Futurama.
of, every season of that show.
Yes.
And you've done a lot of voiceover, and obviously you've played the Sarah Connor. Um, what does the ideal role look like for you?
Oh, my goodness. The ideal role for me now is not what it was maybe before. I mean, I just wanted to do everything, clearly. And I had the incredible luck of being able to do so many different roles. But my characters need to have agency. I think that's something that I like to see through, a good arc within the kind of development of that character, kind of the discovery of self-agency being maybe one of them. But as I've gotten older, the single thing that I really try to align myself with is the filmmaker. Is like the thing you're walking into. What is your day-to-day experience going to be? Because life is too short to wake up and not want to go to work. You know what I mean?
I love it. So, Kit, one, I also forgot to say congratulations. You now have 2 small children in your home.
Yeah, a boy and a girl. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that she's just beautiful.
She's a week old, and
she's a week and a half old, and she's just, oh. And my boy's doing really, really well with it. He's being a good big brother. He's, it's as anyone who has kids, and especially multiple kids, knows, it's exhausting already. Absolutely bone-crunchingly knackering. But filled with, it's all the oxymorons. It's like fear and joy, it's all of those different feelings all at the same time. It's amazing. I'm loving it. Rose is doing really well. We're very, very happy.
I love it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've noticed about your roles is they've all been strong, complex, sometimes dark characters, whether they're creative nonfiction or they are nonfiction, they are real, true-to-life characters. For you, what do you feel like is a role that you want to explore more once you get some sleep?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm sort of seemingly only interested in morally dubious characters. I think that comes from playing a completely morally perfect character for 10 years. To a fault. That was literally his weakness, was his morality. So at the moment, I'm responding to anything that is that darkness that you mentioned, but they're not just villain. I'm not interested in just a villain. It's someone who is a complex mixture of mistakes and the kind of walls put up to kind of guard against those mistakes, and then ends up being this kind of sort of morally crippled person. If that makes sense, that's what I'm looking for.
You're looking for complexity, and
Yeah,
I'm here for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
All right, so we got some fan questions I want to get to before y'all get back to signing and taking photos. So Ashley Nugent at Willow00094 from Atlanta, Georgia. What was your guys' favorite part about working with each other, and are there any plans to work together again? Y'all ask questions I don't have to ask. Thank you.
The best bit. I mean, it was because we were friends.
Yeah.
Before, like, we hung out. We were buddies
Yeah.
before we ever did anything on camera. I remember the first day when we shot on camera, and we just couldn't stop laughing. We were like, "This is a bit weird. What are you in your costume for?"
It was so weird seeing you in costume.
Yeah, that was the strangest thing. I was like, I can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
It was a very serious scene, and Yeah,
It,
just
it,
a lot
it
of
was
giggling.
it was weird. I remember that distinctly. Like season 7, we'd spent 6 years as friends and
Yeah.
friends off set, and like seeing each other only in costume, really on like photo shoots or on screen,
Yeah.
and then suddenly stepping on as these two like characters that had somehow gone into this big show and become this big thing. Felt like this isn't like we're just little Brits. What the f are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
But then I remember that first...
Literally little Brits, like it's
Yes.
little Brits, yeah.
But then I remember one of the first scenes, we were stood in front of the fire, we were having a debate. It was before our characters had romantically been linked. And I remember being like, oh, this is nice. This is like, he's really good. And I know him. This is easy. This is really... And it just kind of... But I do remember the day, our sex scene day, and my brother was in the camera department that day.
Did you say your sexy day?
No, our sex scene. Sorry, yeah, our sex.
Oh no,
day.
I love it. No, I
Our
think
day when we
sexy
got
day was the
sexy.
perfect way to
Our
say
sexy
it.
day.
And my brother's in the camera department, and he was on set that day, and
Yeah.
it was literally like, mate, you gotta get him out of here. Like, he's not
Yeah.
allowed to be here.
Keep him busy.
Yeah.
Oh, mortifying. All right, so we have Sari Moscato from Cleveland, Ohio. For both of you, other than a wolf or a dragon, if you yourself had an animal helper in real life, what species would each of you choose? Can be mythical.
Mythical.
Yeah,
that
so
that
unicorns are
changes
up for
things.
the taking.
I always liked pandas.
Oh.
I did. I always had
Yeah.
little
That's
pandas
adorable.
as a kid. I had little pandas, so I've got a thing for pandas. So I think I'd have a panda.
I
Yeah.
can totally see that.
Yeah.
Hey, kid. Hey, panda.
Yeah, you just have like a backyard full of, bamboo, and
That's
the
it.
panda gets to roam.
Yeah. They're wicked creatures. They're desperately trying to extinct themselves, which I kind of love.
They just don't want to have sex.
They
with
don't wanna
each
have
other, do
sex.
they? I feel like I have a spirit animal that I think he exists.
Okay.
His name is Ted,
Okay.
and he's a little tiny miniature dachshund, and he's my baby. So yeah, and I genuinely like the older that he gets,
Yeah.
the more I'm like,
Yeah, we're the
you're
same.
my spirit animal.
Yeah, we're the
We're
same.
legitimately the same thing.
Yeah. No,
So there we
I appreciate that. I have a golden doodle, and his name is Dumas, and it's the same thing.
Name.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So Andressa from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, for Kit. I would like to ask Kit if there's a role or a specific type of character he wants to play, or because I feel like you've answered the first one. What is the hardest part of being an actor?
I'll just go with that second one. The hardest part of being an actor is our heads. I don't think
They're too big.
they're too big. They're hard to carry around. No, I think every actor I know worth their salt beats themselves up in their head all the time. Like, I think that our job is to come out here and look really ultra confident, and like that we are, and that's our job on set, is to walk on set and convince you that we're completely confident in these characters. But we're a whole heaving mass of like anxiety and self-doubt and all of those things. And I think that when someone sort of says to me they want to be an actor, that's what I'm looking for in them, is like, are you a heaving mass of self-doubt underneath it? Because you're sort of in the same way with the superheroes battling against, I'm not comparing actors to superheroes, maybe
Yes,
I am.
you are.
I
It's
am.
okay.
I'm going to go for it. That they're fighting, their superpower is fighting against the thing. I think that's what you're battling against as an actor, is that you've always been socially self-conscious, and the way you found to deal with that is to step up onto stage and speak, or to step in front of camera, or whatever you do. And so I think the hardest thing about being an actor is that we're wrapped up in our own heads like crazy, and it drives us mad.
Well, the reason why we want to be other people is because we don't like ourselves, right?
That's true.
It's kind of like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
universal theme in most actors. You find an actor who actually likes himself, and you're like, you're not really an actor, are you?
Really?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you do this? This is very strange.
Yeah.
Why pretend to be someone else?
Exactly.
So I love this name. Khaleesi
Yes.
at Kelly Clarke. She's going to correct me later. So it's actually, her name is Marcy Furtado from Para, Brazil. My question is for Emilia. What most struck her about the character of Gaia to want to play her?
Oh my goodness. She just felt real. She just felt real in a very real, grounded show that kind of talked about things that, I mean, the joy of doing anything fantasy, the joy of reading any fantastical or like magic realism narrative is that it's a way of looking at bigger issues in the world, problems you face, philosophical ideas in its own space that allows us to see the problem for what it is and really digest it, because it's not, you're not reading about yourself. Does that make sense?
You're able to step into almost a parable.
Exactly that. And this show feels like that so much. And then also Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I mean? What I like about Gaia, I like the Samuel L. Jackson part of it.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
I don't know how anyone keeps a straight face on any of these sets. All right, so last question. Yep, last question. Elena Collins from Houston, Texas. Got to end with Texas. For both of you, how did your experience on a big production like Game of Thrones help prepare you for what to expect on a Marvel set? And also, what was different than what you expected?
I feel like I don't know about you, but the films that I did in between this series of Game of Thrones, they'd be like, now this isn't TV. It's going to feel really different. And I'm like, uh-huh.
I mean,
sure. And I'd get there and be like, guess what? Mine's bigger.
Yeah,
it's actually like we're shooting 10 of these films every single season.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. So I feel like it prepared, I don't know, this scale prepared me for pretty much every job I've ever done since.
I don't know. I mean, my Marvel experience is not as long as Emilia's. It was a bit of a Marvel movie, but in that time on that Marvel movie, just experiencing quite what they were able to do, in as much as shut down Camden for a whole 2 nights or something.
Because that scene was big.
Yeah.
And it had to take an army.
Yeah.
Literally.
And that was one of their, 10 movies they were making at that time. That gave me an idea of the scale and scope of it. But I have to agree with Emilia, one thing that Thrones maybe in some ways it's a slight kind of curse, because we spent 10 years on a show that was as big as any movie I think I'll ever do. Yeah. And it sort of gave me, in a strange way, a skewed experience of what movies and TV were, because there was nothing bigger than Thrones as far as set builds and the world they created, and it was genuinely humongous.
Like, try and think of, could you ever think of doing a movie that is anywhere close to being as big as Battle of the Bastards?
Yeah, or what they built in the final season, the set of King's Landing.
Yeah,
I've never seen a set like that, and I don't think there's anything. You know, I haven't obviously been on loads of Marvel sets. I'm sure that they're just as big, but I can't imagine they'd be bigger than that set.
Marvel just have bigger movie stars. You know what I mean? That's what's the biggest difference.
They got
You're like, oh
big
my
old
God,
movie stars.
fangirling every day.
Yeah.
I love even the concept of you fangirling over another actor, and just the reminder that y'all are just human and people who love doing your jobs.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say anything other than my lines to Samuel Jackson for the first 2 weeks because I was just too scared. He was like, oh, you're here to work. I was like, I can't think of anything else to say.
Makes you feel any better? I have no clue what I would say to Samuel L. Jackson either.
I mean, you just got to hug him. That's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah. I'm sure he gives great hugs.
He does.
All right. You have a lot of fans to meet today. I want to thank you so much for this incredible panel. Give another round of applause for Emilia Clarke and Kit Harington.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you all.